Good evening. I would like to share with you my presentation over George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. To start off my lesson, I'm going to start off with language arts. What I would do first would be to read the book Young George Washington and also the Young Abraham Lincoln. I would tell the students to make a list of similarities and differences of the two presidents. Then I would hand out a sheet called a head-to-head comparison of the two presidents. They would say the facts about George Washington and the facts about Abraham Lincoln. And in the middle they would put the similarities. Then I would go over capitalization and punctuation. I would pass out a punctuation worksheet called Punctuation Presidents and Abe and George. On both worksheets, they must decide what one needs to be capitalized and where the period goes, or if it's a question mark. While they are doing their worksheets, I will pull the students one by one to make a guided reading book. They would read a story about Abraham Lincoln, and they would get to color it. While they're at the guided reading table, I will have them make another guided reading book to take home. It's about George Washington. And then it would look like this after they make it. It's called Who Was Our First President, which is George Washington. They could take that home and read with their parents. Then I would have them do a worksheet over Abraham Lincoln. It says which president most important papers is in his hat, which is Abraham Lincoln. There's different questions that talks about Abraham Lincoln. After they're done with this, they can color it and cut it out, which makes the Abraham Lincoln. After they are done with this, I would have the students write 5 facts that they learned about both presidents. They must be 5 complete sentences. Moving along to math. We would learn about pennies, quarters, and dollars. I would read the stories pennies, dollars, and quarters to the students. I would let them know which president is on which coin or bill, and they would learn about how they're made and the history of the coin or bill. Then they would have a worksheet called Counting on Famous Presidents. The students must solve the riddles. They must draw a line from the riddle to the correct bill or coin and write the answers on the line. It talks about the different presidents and how much the cents are worth. Now moving on to social studies. I would read this story about George Washington and where he grew up. It tells them where he grew up when he was little and where he ended when he was the president. Then I would pass out a worksheet called the Washington Map. There's different questions that makes the students follow directions. For instance, question 1, find Washington, D.C. on the map, draw a star and color it yellow. Well, you would find Washington, D.C. right here and put a star since it's our nation's capital. Now moving along to arts. I would read the story, Abraham Lincoln, a great president, a great American. And I also would read George Washington, America's first president. Then I would talk with the students about the similarities and how they were alike with their features and their differences of their features. I would then pass out a die cut of the presidents. They would decorate it if they wanted to. For instance, here is George Washington. Then they could turn it over, and then the hat is Abraham Lincoln. Then, after that, I would have a game for them to play. I would have them answer questions, and then they would have to hold up which president is the correct answer. Is it Abraham Lincoln or George Washington? I have each put the worksheets on my presentation on the computer so y'all could print them out if y'all like. I hope you like my presentation. Thank you.